You gotta give me one thing. I'm a scary judge of talent.
Adolphus Washington back-to-back plays.
The Detroit Pistons select Luke Kennard from Duke University.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Triple Double Podcast. We've been a little bit slow this summer trying to get episodes out. We apologize for that, but we're back again tonight, and we've got a really exciting guest. We've got Coach Eric Haut. Coach, what's going on?
How you doing, fellas? You doing okay?
We're good. We're good. I'm here figuring out what I'm going to do this weekend on the AAU circuit. Jason's here, getting ready to go to Vegas to do some film work for Slam. So it's a little bit of the calm before the storm.
Nice, man. I thought you were going to say this weekend you're going to the Jazz Fest in Cincinnati.
Oh man, it's way too damn hot. Way too hot.
It did cool down yesterday though, and then we're back at it in this heat today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, since you know we're talking about the same city, since you live down here now, let me give everybody the quick rundown. Coach Eric Haut has over a decade of coaching experience at the NCAA Division I level, having recently been named to head coach Darren Horn's staff as an assistant coach at NKU. Prior to that, spent the last 8 seasons at Kent State University, where he also played. And, Coach, you got your start in basketball under Coach Horn at another school, correct?
Yes. Yeah, back in 2004, 2005, Coach Horn was at Western Kentucky. And I remember, I went down there to interview, and basically my interview was to work summer camp for about a week. And got the job right after summer camp, and was down there for the year with him in Bowling Green. Had a really good year, and Courtney Lee was actually a freshman on that team, and had a really talented team. And that was kind of like the foundational group for Coach Horn. And I think 3 years later they went to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. So that's how I got my start, and stayed in contact with Coach. And I just when I saw he got named the Northern Kentucky head coach, man, First off, I told the other assistant at Texas, I don't know if you guys know Neil Berry at all, but Neil and I are pretty good friends, and he worked with Coach Horn. I said, hey, man, that job is perfect for Coach Horn, man. Perfect. And Neil, he probably knew that he was involved, but didn't really say much. And then literally 2 days later, he was named head coach. So, it's just kind of an interesting deal with timing and just, small world, that I worked for him 15 years ago. And a lot of people didn't know that, but that was the connection in terms of me getting down here.
Well, I remember those Western Kentucky teams. I remember being in high school. I think I may be a high school senior when Courtney Lee hit that big shot to go to the Sweet 16. But, Coach Horn being from the state of Kentucky is a good thing for NKU, and that it's a state that takes care of its own in basketball, and he's going to be bringing a lot of energy there. But for you, it had to be a tough decision, spending 8 years at Kent, playing at Kent, and having to, leave a good situation there.
Yeah, and that's, somebody I think was asking me Northern Kentucky, and, it's trying to compare the two. And I'm like, well, for me, you can't really compare anywhere to Kent State. I mean, that's pretty much home for me. After spending so many years there. But I just felt like, at this point in the stage of my career, being there 8 years, and, and if you think about this, in the last 19 years of my life, I spent 15 of them in Kent, Ohio. And, you kind of want to just kind of spread your wings a little bit and maybe, learn some new things. And, everyone wants to grow in their profession. And I just felt like this was the right time, and to make maybe that next step, and then work for another head coach. And I just think Coach Horn, I think he's someone that he's a high level coach now. I'm learning a lot from him, and just that was part of the reason why I wanted to come down here. So then I'm having a baby boy I say the fall. My wife hopes in about 3 weeks, because she's miserable, but. We're close to her family too, in Indianapolis. So we're about an hour and 45 minutes or so from where her family is. So, and our son will be the first grandson on her side of the family. So, That was part of it too. But I just think it's a great fit. There's great people down here. They care about basketball. I thought that was important. And I just feel like going to Kentucky, man, it's just they've already had a lot of success, but I think there's another step that they can make, and they want to do everything they can to try to help us make that next step.
Well, congratulations on the baby, but that is kind of really what's gone on with NKU since they've gone to Division I. Is they've had some breaks and they've created those breaks, but getting into the Horizon League with their second year of Division I or maybe the third year was huge, and then qualifying for 2 NCAA tournaments, having some individual player success. It's certainly been a program that's on the rise and a growing fan base in Kentucky that has their own team where they don't necessarily have to cross the river to root for Cincinnati or Xavier. They don't have to drive 80 miles to Lexington or 100 miles to Louisville for one of the Blue Bloods. They've got kind of their own thing, but with Coach Horn coming in there, it's an interesting situation in that we've had a lot of new college coaches, or not new college coaches, but new staffs on this podcast, and there's really two kind of mindsets. I think there's the mindset of guys who are taking over a program where the previous staff, for whatever reason, did not have success and was let go, and you've got to rebuild some things and maybe change everything. And then you've got the other side of the coin, which is the staffs who are coming into a situation where the previous staff won a lot and left for another job. And you guys obviously fall into that latter. Yep. So, what is Coach Horn doing to, keep things the same in terms of winning, but, do things the way he wants to do them as well?
Well, it's interesting. To me, it's almost harder, the situation, and it's a good problem to have, but that Coach Horn and the new staff that we have here is kind of adjusting to now in normal circumstances. But John and his staff, they really recruited high character, high quality young men here. So the change hasn't been as hard as I've seen other places. Like, I played for Kent State, right? Our head coach left after we won one game in the NCAA tournament. He went to the Rutgers, Coach Waters. Coach Heath came in. We had 4 seniors back. He brought in Antonio Gates, who was another talent, all-conference type player, trying to blend him into the mix that was already there, that already been to the NCAA tournament 2 out of the last 3 years, similar to Northern Kentucky. And it was an adjustment for us as a group. Having a new coach like that and trying to get used to him. And, we didn't start out very well at the beginning of the year. We were 4-4 and actually lost at Youngstown State. We had won 6 games that year, and one of them was against us the year we went to the Elite Eight. So it can be tricky. I mean, it really can, I think. But our group of young men that we have at Northern Kentucky are just, they've won, obviously, at a high level in their league. And, they want more, too, and there's a guy that his name's Drew McDonald that, some would say, hey, he's not walking through that door. So I think there's some hunger there, too, with our guys. We had significant roles on this team, too. It wasn't just Drew. So I think they all feel like they have something to prove. And, I just think they're about winning. They're about the right things. And it's been exciting so far. And we're going to play a little differently than they did last year. So there's an adjustment there. But I just feel like every challenge we kind of thrown at them, you know what? They just keep wanting more, because they want to do something special here, and that's why they all came to NKU.
And then from a recruiting standpoint, you've got David Harris is from Cincinnati. You've got yourself with strong Ohio ties in a school that's literally right across the bridge from Ohio, and you're basically recruiting the same area, just 3 hours difference. Coach Horn being from Kentucky, there's a lot of recruiting ties that you guys already have to keep the thing going and bring in high level guys.
Yeah, I think that was it was important. I think for his last hire, I think I was the last guy to get hired, obviously, and I think it was about 30 days or a month after he had had his press conference. So I think it was important for him to find somebody that knew the land a little bit, kind of understood the area, and just you don't know in this day and age too. In April, May, when you're recruiting, it's not always high school kids. It's transfers, grad transfers, junior college kids. So it was it was a little bit of an adjustment. But with Dave and Dave Harris and myself here, it wasn't too bad, honestly. And it's amazing how much technology can help you too. all these AAU games, on the major shoe company circuits are all, on Synergy, and you can watch them. You can read the printouts, some statistical analysis, and you can get a pretty good feel for a player. Still need to obviously do your due diligence and watch them live, but you can get a pretty good feel for their game and what they're good at, and so you take that and then you go and you watch them live, and that's kind of how we had to evaluate, especially with the 2020 class, upcoming class. So it hasn't been that hard with the technology. It's really helped us, and we just kind of put a system together how we want to do it and how we're going to evaluate, and it's kind of been following that. And it was a little tricky, I think, because of the calendar, how the recruiting calendar is this year with the new changes, but I think we figured it out pretty well.
One thing you guys did in terms of building or rebuilding local relationships is, I was fortunate enough to be able to attend that day. You guys had a really, really strong team camp of almost all local teams, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, and, that was a great place to see some of the 2020, 2021 class, but more so than anything, just build the relationship.
It was great. Like, we got a late start to it, so really appreciative of the schools that came, because I know it wasn't, we didn't have a long registration process. We probably put it up about 2 or 3 weeks before the camp, and we had a really good turnout. We had a lot of good young talent from the surrounding here in Cincinnati, Kentucky, Northern Kentucky, this whole area, and even a couple hours away. People came out, and we just wanted to make sure. And I think Coach Horn's message to us was, hey man, we got to at least have a team camp, because we got to, get to know the people around here. Because I think, Northern Kentucky, all of Kentucky and Cincinnati, and, kind of go under recruited at times. Kentucky is it's a basketball state. It's like Indiana. They love their hoops. So I think part of the reason, people like to come to NKU for the team camp is like the facilities are great. It's all, we had a good number of teams, but not too many teams. So we could all be in one gym, and, we put us in the arena, and, you can watch multiple games, and, there's places for your families to come and sit. It's a good spot for team camp. It really is. We're hoping next year and the year after, like, we kind of expand into the rec center and things like that. But, like you said, a lot of good talent, a lot of great coaches that came and brought their teams, and, a lot of great, scouting services that came, like yourself, had to make an appearance in our first team camp. And then it was just good to kind of hang out with you guys and get a chance to talk to some of the local coaches.
Well, I forgot. You just reminded me. My first ever coaching gig was after my freshman year of college, coaching my old high school team in the team camp at NKU, and that was before the beautiful arena, back when it was only at the rec center and it was about 110 degrees. So NKU's come a long way as a campus, but we had a good day that day, though. We did all right. But But going back to what you said, Kentucky being a basketball state, and I completely agree. That being said, it's a small population state, but basketball is really seeing an upswing in Kentucky. You've got NKU doing what they've done, making 2 out of 3 NCAA tournaments. You got Bellarmine having unbelievable success at the Division II level, moving into Division I starting not this coming winter, but next winter. Murray State just had the number 2 pick in the draft. Western Kentucky's got excitement with Coach Stansberry. He's going to bring in some really exciting talent. And then you've got Kentucky and Louisville, and that's never going to change. Chris is getting it done there, but those are always going to be, top 10 programs. So with Kentucky and there being more options for fans, I mean, how hot is the NKU brand right now?
I mean, you know what? I think it is hot. It's really hot. I think that's Coach Horn's kind of objective is. We gotta kind of bring this thing together, and he wants to, in his words, blow the roof off it. And he wants to really work on, student engagement with our guys and our staff, and just fan engagement, and get out in the community, because they do get really good crowds down here at NKU. I think we led the league in attendance the last 2 or 3 years. And again, I think there's a next step. There's a next level that we can go to. But you're right. I mean, there's obviously Louisville, UK. People have a lot of options, and NKU is obviously somewhat new onto the scene. But to me, that's the exciting part. There's so much room for growth here, and the great thing is, administratively in the university, like they're so supportive of that vision. Like they want to. Some people talk to me about, well, man, Northern Kentucky, that could be Xavier in the late '80s. When they were in the mid-con and kind of made that breakthrough, and then they just kept growing, and fan base grew, and all of a sudden here they are, they're in the Big East, and some people say, why not NKU? Why can't NKU make that kind of rise? So that's kind of the vision that moving forward, like this thing can be as big as we want it to be. If we just keep putting in the work and keep having success and keep bringing in quality young men like we have right now.
Well, and then the other thing is that the talent in the league right now in the last couple of years has been great rivalry for NKU in terms of geography. You look at, the top two teams have been you guys in Wright State. You're separated by like less than 70 miles, I would think. Valparaiso, maybe not the last couple of years, but before that, not far away. Oakland and Detroit, 4 hours. Cleveland State and Youngstown State, or Cleveland State's making a change. Youngstown State's trying to grow. So there's a lot of rivalry there, which is something that's not only going to be attractive in recruiting, but it's going to be attractive in fan base, especially that in terms of mid-major rivalries, Wright State and NKU is kind of brewing into something that's going to be maybe the best mid-major rivalry in the Midwest, or certainly one of them.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think a lot of that comes just quality head coaches, quality programs. I'm looking forward to, just going through going to some new cities, not towns. I'm excited about that. Getting to go to Chicago, Indianapolis, and just seeing a whole new perspective on this deal. But you're right, the geography helps in terms of the league, and I think the coaches that have come in the league now kind of elevate each of their programs. I think some programs that maybe have been down for a little bit are on their way up, and again, it leads to, with the geography up and how close we all are. Pretty much we're all within like 3 or 4 hours, except for a couple, and even less than that. It is an exciting time right now in the Horizon League, and everybody plays each other twice too in the regular season, which I think is the right way and how it should be. You get to play that home and home. So, I remember in the MAC, you play everybody in your division twice, but not necessarily everybody in the other division twice. So you really get a true champion. You get a true champion in the regular season, which will go into your seeding for the conference tournament, and then anything can happen in the conference tournament. But I do like the fact that you play everybody twice, because you really do get a true regular season champion.
Well, looking into the recruiting aspect of things, you guys mentioned kind of how you try to hit the ground running. You're going to have roster turnover, whether it's graduation or you're just going to have roster turnover, period, in 2019 when you have a coaching change. So it was a late turnover in that, UCLA moved late, which caused Cincinnati to move late, which caused NKU to move late. So you guys, don't have any advantage in year one in that regard. But with the new NCAA recruiting rules, they don't benefit new staffs in that as a new staff, you get less time evaluating, and they really don't benefit guys like Coach Horn and then the 2 assistants that he brought from Texas, and that, these guys have been in Texas the last few years. They've been watching, high major talent, Big 12 talent. Now you're recruiting for the Horizon League, different type of player. So you guys certainly have your back against the wall. And how have you found this new recruiting calendar to work out, and what kind of tricks have you been trying to play to make it work the best for you?
Well, I think, and then this year there wasn't 2 weekends in April too, because of how the calendar fell. So that obviously limited our time. That's why I do think, like, my experience in this area and in the Midwest, I kind of had a feel or a pulse for this class, the next class, guys we should be looking at. And then obviously reaching out to like you, Corey, and other people that, we have relationships with, that, that we trust their evaluations and do a good job kind of making sure, you guys are thorough, and, it's a valuable resource to be able to give you a call like, hey, what do you think about this guy? And, how, maybe we were at Kent State, but now I tell you how we're going to be at NKU and how we want to play, and and you're like, well, hey man, you should look at this kid. And that's just kind of how it goes. And then you look at the video, and then you just reach out to high school coach. You just try to do as much homework as you can, knowing that you're not going to get all those evaluations. I do think the evaluations with their high school teams was beneficial. I think that really helped because you know how it is. You go to an event, there's 4 or 5 Division I kids on the same team. Well, that kid that's maybe the third best or fourth best doesn't have the same role as he does on his own high school team. So, maybe they're not as aggressive with their AAU team as the other high school team. So I think it really helped in that regard. But then in July, then you only have 4 days, which is insane, trying to cover everything in that short time period and see all these guys and kids. And I think they, the one thing with recruiting count, in my opinion, is they should bring, I don't think they are, but there should be 2 4-day periods in July. I just think that would help, and it would help everybody, in terms of Division I. But I think it would just help other kids get a lot of opportunities to get seen because, I don't know if I didn't see you in June, but like I was in a gym with 3 courts at a high school, and there's probably 3 or 4 Division I kids playing on that time session. Now, if I'm somewhere else in the AAU tournament, there could be 20. You know what I mean? So I think some kids are getting seen less, and that's going to hurt with the evaluations. And, I'm interested to see, like, will kids wait till late because, they didn't really get seen, some of them, or those fringe guys that are borderline Division I. You may not have seen them. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of thing moves forward. And, I don't think the camps are going away, and I think the camps could be valuable too if they get it going the right way.
Well, with the shortened July, and the April working out the way it did, but with the shortened July, you now, as a college coach, have to look at, am I going to see less prospects and watch them play a couple games, or am I going to go and try and hit all the events and see everybody once? And then there's an added aspect to that at the low and mid-major Division I level that, going back to talking about Texas with Coach Horn, that he probably didn't have at Texas. They probably had a private jet for shotgun him, which is, they could cover 3 events in 4 days. It's still not easy, but it's possible. And if you're driving, if you're a low mid-major coach and you're trying to hit all these things, you really have to make tough decisions, and that's not beneficial for the kids, and it's also not beneficial for you in having to decide who you're going to offer scholarships to, which might be $50,000 a year in scholarship, and the success of those kids impacts your well-being too. So, the NCAA with the camp, I think, is a debatable topic, and some people are going to feel one way or another, but only having 1 July period to me is definitely not the answer, especially for the non-blue bloods.
Yeah, I do think, especially for us being new, like you said, with Coach Horn coming from Texas, probably not seeing, obviously he hasn't seen a lot of these guys. Obviously he's been in the area because he recruited Jackson Hayes down to Texas. And we're one of those programs, like, you're not going to see us offering 50 kids in the 20 class or 21 class. Like, some schools I've seen, I'm not going to mention names, but like, if you've offered 30, 40 kids in a class already, well, I know you haven't done 30 or 40 about thorough evaluations, And if that offer didn't come from the head coach may not have even seen me either. And that's where I think it gets dangerous, and I think that's where, these young men that are coming up trying to, make it to the Division I level as players, they get caught up in that. But, that's where I think you can see a lot of the transfer deals happening because, it's about 30, 40 offers after one weekend of in June or in July. It's like, well, you saw that kid play one time, it's just a slippery slope, and that's just not how we're going to do it, which I respect. Coach Horn, he wants to, we've locked in on a 2 or 3 guys, that we think are our type of guys, and it's probably more than that, but, we're not trying to mass recruit. You know what I mean? We want to make sure we get the right fit for NKU, for Coach Horn, for how we want to play, the type of high character young man that we're looking for. And yeah, we're just, so that's kind of been a little tricky. we were lucky that some of the kids that were recruiting around our team camp, or we were able to see in June at the various sites, and that were local here. But it was definitely challenging with that part of it, because Coach Horn, obviously, I worked for Sendy for 8 years, so I kind of had a little bit better feel and probably a little bit more autonomy, like, right away. But Coach Horn, we got to make sure that if we're going to offer a kid, like, that offer means something. It's not just a throwaway offer that you can put on Twitter. That offer means, like, we want you at NKU.
One of the problems with the just kind of half-assed offers is this. So let's say you offer a kid 16 and under AAU going into his junior season, and you offer him in Northern Kentucky, so it's a mid-major Division I offer, and over the next year, for whatever reason, that kid doesn't really pan out, that kid doesn't take the next step in his game, maybe he just kind of tops out, maybe he just kind of falls out of love with it, whatever. So the next summer comes, 17 and under comes, and this is happening to 2 kids in Ohio right now, in my opinion, that they had these mid-major offers from schools that offer really quickly and early on in the process, and now those schools, even though they, on verbal commits, on Twitter, on whatever you call it,
right,
have these offers, they really don't have these offers. But when the Division II schools come, when the low Division I's that maybe don't always recruit Ohio but are interested in trying to steal a kid here and there, when they come and they ask, the kid, well, who's offered you? The kid's going to throw them these 4 mid-majors that offered, but in reality, they have none. So it creates a really confusing dynamic.
And that does happen.
And it does happen, and it shouldn't be, the kid's responsibility to figure that dynamic out, because obviously as a kid, you're going to be excited by any offer, particularly if it has a Division I, name next to it. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, I would definitely, like, if I was coming up now through the ranks, like, I know I'd be tweeting out my offers too. So I don't even, some people get offended by that. I don't. Like, these are 15, 16, 17-year-old young kids. Like, yeah, they're excited. It's the 25 to 50, young people that are coaching that are kind of messing this thing up, in my opinion. Because we know better. And like you said, a kid may think he has an offer, but he really doesn't. An offer is, if you offer me and I say I'm coming, then you're taking me that day. Like, that's an offer. And it's unfortunate, because these kids, they don't understand that part of it. And they shouldn't, they really shouldn't. It's not their responsibility, like you said. So it's just, how can I tell you and your family that you're a priority, but I've offered 40 kids, 50 kids in the last 2 years for your position? It's impossible. You're not a priority. You're just you're a name and a name on a list in that class. And it's unfortunate. It really is. It's unfortunate, and that's just we wanted to try to do it the right way. We want to build relationships the right way with these young men and their families, and we want them to want to be here as much as we want them here. Because if it doesn't match like that, there's going to be tough days, because it just all for all young men that go into college basketball, and those tough days are really tough if that relationship isn't like that. So,
from a further evaluating standpoint and identifying, which is you guys have really been the identifying stage for the younger classes, 2021 and anything beyond that. What are you guys hoping to see at the regional camps this week? You told me before we got on air that you guys have different members of your staff at different regional camps this week. And in terms of gameplay, in terms of drills versus gameplay, 3-on-3 versus 5-on-5, what a structure of games, what as college coaches are you guys hoping to see in these camps?
Yeah, I think some of that 3-on-3 and that 4-on-4, those breakdowns and stuff, the station work is good. I think I read somewhere it was like 20 minutes a station. I think that's probably a little too long. I know my attention span isn't 20 minutes, so I know it would be difficult to kind of go through however many stations they're going through 20 minutes at a time. But I do think having maybe with their because they're already on teams, and I think they're having some practices for the kids, so they have some sort of structure when they play. Because I think probably the hardest thing in terms of like when you go to a one-day event, say you're going to a junior college event in July, and these kids don't know each other. These kids at these camps, they may not be familiar with each other. And you got 5 guys trying to bring up the basketball every time up the floor, and then you got nobody that wants to play near the basket or, in certain areas on the floor because, everybody thinks they're a guard. And there's no flow, and I think if they're able to like kind of put in have a practice or whatever, then they can put in, some structure, just a couple simple plays and get them balanced in terms of who's the guy who can bring up the ball, who's the wing, and kind of get them organized from that sense. That's going to make the games better, in my opinion. It's not going to be 5 guys just, I could go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that was going to be my exact thing, which was we had Zach Flair on here a couple weeks ago, and we talked about the Ohio camp, and we thought it was really well run, but some things that could improve. And my thought was, have a practice the night before for the teams, and if not, you create a situation I think where you kind of can't win for losing, in that you're either going to play the right way, and that's going to lead to no shots, and college coaches are going to say, well, we didn't get to see enough of that guy, or you're going to shoot every ball, and that's going to lead to a negative evaluation, and too often that's what gets created. So I definitely like the kind of the practice or the offensive install formula, and you've got the right coaches there to do it. Is the fortunate thing is that
no question.
They've a lot of the
you got high level coaches
that.
there that can put it in quick and just simple stuff, and I think that helps. That'll actually help these young men play better in front of college coaches and put them in positions to succeed. The old adage, like, don't show me what you can't do, show me what you can do. I think sometimes, guys, they don't really know what that is, some young players these days, and try to do stuff they can't do. And it's like, well, no one's even recruiting you for you to do that. It's when you get like a 6'11" kid or any kid that's not a great shooter. He's out there just chucking threes up, but he could be a heck of an offensive rebounder. It's like, well, stop shooting threes, go offensive rebound, or go, make a play for somebody else. And, it's not all about scoring, but I think if they're playing for a coach and they've got some structure and they're having some practices while they're at that camp there, and kind of, I'm not saying put them defined roles like we do at the college level at some point during the year, but to give them some sort of, hey man, you're really good at this, and get them thinking that way, I think it could really help and be beneficial for the kids at the camp, and can help them put their best foot forward in front of college coaches.
I think you use my favorite saying, which is the don't show them what you can't do, show them what you can do. And that's the most important thing, I think, for any kid ever entering any exposure opportunity, whether it's a camp, whether it's Nike EYBL, whether it's a lower level, club basketball tournament, is that you have to play to your strengths, and helping those kids understand that recruiting, you're going to be recruited for a niche. Unless you're Zion Williamson and you've got transcendent ability across pretty much every area, you're going to be recruited for a niche, maybe 2 niches that you can fill at the college level, and show that you can do that. And those are the kids, when I think people say, well, I've got more ability than this kid, but he's getting the offers, I think you often find that those are the kids who are more mature and approaching the game from that standpoint.
Yeah, there's no question. Like, the best players, in my opinion, are like, they're the most aware. They're aware of who they are. They know who they are. They have the most awareness. They know what they can do. They know what they're not great at. They know that, scoring isn't the most important thing in a game. It really isn't. It really isn't, and you'll see guys, like when you see a player that's playing that has great feel for the game and basketball IQ, and, making plays to get other guys shots, and, he knows when to pass it because the guy's open and doesn't try to, dribble through 3 guys, rim. And, it's just that stuff. It's amazing how much that stands out now, because very few players have the capability in their minds to play that way because they're in front of college coaches. And I get it. I do get it. I understand it. I honestly wish before these camps or, before these AAU events, that people come in and try to have college coaches, maybe former college coaches that are, retired or, that have big names that, these kids will recognize. Just kind of speak on that and talk about that, because, that sometimes is why some of these kids aren't being recruited too. It's just, they don't understand what what college coaches are looking for. You know, you can't have 8 guys, you know, that want to shoot every on your team. You just can't. You know, you got to be able to play with other guys. And you know, I always give the example, man, the Golden State Warriors. Like, that's basketball right there. You know, they brought in Kevin Durant, and they have, you know, 3 guys that are probably top 10 players in the NBA, but well, they can find a way to share the ball and each get 20 a night and sacrifice some shots to win, and you know, they just have to play more efficiently. But I just wish these kids would be educated a little bit more on what we're looking for, what we're watching, what we want to see when we're out there.
Well, then from a maturity standpoint, you said you're looking for kids who kind of understand what they can do, and those type of kids are exactly what you guys are looking for, because you really got kids who understand all of the intangibles but are maybe missing one thing. You know, at Northern Kentucky, you might be recruiting a big kid who's 6'6" to play in the post, but understands that he's effective around the rim. And, you know, if he was 6'9", or if he could shoot the ball, he would be going to Louisville or Kentucky instead of NKU. And you guys, you know, in the mid-major level, is exactly what, you know, you guys are trying to find, is guys who are mature enough that want to be at that level, that, you know, have that niche.
Right, exactly. And we understand you're not going to be a finished product. You know, as college coaches, we know, like, you know, we don't want you to be a finished product coming into college, right? We want you to have that room for growth, you know, that high ceiling. So the things you may not be quite, you know, great at or, you know, good at when you come in, you know, those are the things we're going to try to help you get better at. But you have something, you have a niche, you have a role, you kind of carved out something that you're really good. You know, and it's our job to try to help you develop the other areas of your game. You know, but it's when you're not kind of focused on anything. You're just, you know, you're doing a little bit of everything. Was it the old saying goes, like, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. You know, sometimes those are the hardest evaluations to make, and that's the hardest thing for a player to kind of understand. You know, you want to try to figure out a couple things that you can be really, really good at and specialize in those, and obviously develop the rest of your game. But that's going to be noticed by college coaches probably more than one game you get 20 and then the next game you get 2. You know, that's not something, you know, it's hard to evaluate that type of stuff.
Excellent. Well, that's exactly what, you know, we try and use this podcast to hopefully, you know, get to some people who can be helped in the evaluation or the development process and eventual recruiting process, as well as the young coaches who want to listen to this and hear from guys like you who are veterans. So, Coach, want to really thank you for taking the time out of your schedule, and safe travels. So congratulations again on your baby coming soon, and we'll definitely talk to you soon.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we got to get together one of these days, my man.
Absolutely, I'll be
once
down,
I have
brother.
This baby.
Sounds good.
Once I have this baby, I can get out a little bit. So we'll have to meet up. But I appreciate you guys having me on, and have a good day. Okay.
Thank you, Coach. Guys, that was Eric Haut, Northern Kentucky University. I'm Corey Albertson for Jason Morrow. You listen to the Triple Double Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by PlayEasy.com. For players, coaches, or casual athletes looking to book a sports facility, as well as owners and managers of sports facilities, PlayEasy.com is the new one-stop site for streamlined services. If you're looking for a place to practice, play, host your tournament, camp, or other, simply go to PlayEasy.com and create a booking request for your area. Your request will go out to surrounding facilities who will respond with their best offer. Once you receive the offer that best fits your needs, book the facility and you're ready to play. For facility owners and managers, PlayEasy puts the power in your hands to maximize the usage and visibility of your facility. Register your facility for free today at PlayEasy.com. PlayEasy.com is the booking site built by athletes, coaches, and facility managers, and is proud to help bring you the Triple Double Podcast. This podcast is also brought to you by Anago Cleaning Systems. Are you tired of struggling in a dead-end job? If so, Anago Cleaning Systems has what you're looking for, an opportunity to go into business for yourself, but not by yourself. With franchising opportunities available for as little as a $2,500 down payment, purchasing an Anago franchise has never been easier. Once you own your Anago franchise, you're licensed to clean commercial facilities all around the greater Cincinnati, Dayton, or Columbus areas with the support of Anago's sales, quality control, operational, and accounting staff. Call 513-332-0033 today for your opportunity to be your own boss and grow your own commercial cleaning company under the guidance of Anago's proven and successful system. Again, call 513-332-0033 to learn more. With Anago, your future starts today.